Now you've got millions of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. They don't have that sensitivity.
Yes.
So hopefully by like talking about what I do now, other game masters will understand the power of like real power they have over people where
Yeah.
we were just playing a game, but it's
I know.
nothing's ever just to anything.
So, welcome to the first 7 seconds where presence isn't just noticed, it's remembered. I'm your host, Romy Young from Charm Logic, and today we're diving deep into how we show up, connect, and evolve in every room before a single word is even spoken. My guest today, I'm so excited about this, is someone who's not just mastered the power of reinvention, she embodies it. From legendary realms of Dungeons and Dragons to digital entrepreneurship, community leadership, and now personal growth coaching. Satine Phoenix has never stopped shaping worlds, including her own. Whether she's commanding a stage, creating epic stories, or guiding others towards personal clarity and courage, Satine shows us how to turn our narrative into power and our presence into purpose. Satine, welcome to the first 7 seconds.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, what an introduction. I both have chills and I want to cry, and I also want to meet myself because I sound awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yes, how's everything been?
Oh man, I went on my Eat, Pray, Love journey. I disconnected from the world and I am back in Denver ready to go hard.
Fantastic. Is Denver where you're from originally, or?
So I was a California girl for a really
Oh,
long time, but
yeah,
then COVID happened. I met a guy and then moved
yeah.
out here. But, even though we're divorced, I've got family out here. My friends and my family are out here. My stepdaughter's here. So,
Nice.
yeah, I decided to come back. This is like a super grounding place. Whereas Bali, the other place that I would like to be, is a little more fluid and a lot more relaxing, a lot more coconuts on the beach during the sunset every night.
So which do you prefer, or is it in different times you access these different places, I guess?
That's a really good question because I've realized that I'm kind of like a 6 months here and a six
Ah,
months there kind of person.
yeah, yeah,
I love this new version of myself, which is understanding that I cannot run at 100%
yeah.
100% of the time. I can run at 100%, 150% half the time.
Yes,
So
yes.
understanding like when it's important to go and relax.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like weekend warrior. That means actually, I got to take a couple weeks off. I got to take a month off. But part of that, the other side of it is when I'm here in Denver, it's super grounding. It's
Mm,
also a place for me to like tuck in and
mm.
get work done, like
Oh,
grind in. So
good.
both places are good for different parts of me. And I
Yes.
kind of look at things seasonally. So, what seasons are my grounding seasons and like workhorse seasons, and what seasons are like coconuts, rice fields?
Coconut
I
rice
really
fields and
miss the
beaches.
coconuts. If you can't tell, I really miss the coconuts.
Is it the drink or like
It's the
throwing?
electrolytes.
Oh, the
It's what
electrolytes, yeah,
plants
actual
crave.
health. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's got so many purposes, right? I've watched Moana many times, so they talk
Yeah.
about coconuts a lot. It's for my son. I sing Disney songs with him a lot. But no, that's fantastic to hear. I love that you have such clarity in the different environments that you've set yourself in for what purpose. Because I try to work like that too, and I'm discovering my own kind of pace and environments too. Because yeah, I think the people that have traveled the world quite extensively, initially it's to explore, and then finally you settle into the ones that you feel close to or has a very powerful kind of influence in how it can affect you as a person. And no, I'm so glad for you too that yeah you found kind of where you want to be and or where you want to be half the time here and half the time there. So
Well, you don't
yeah,
even know. I didn't know what I was looking for. I
yeah,
didn't even know I was looking. Actually, because of what happened and the divorce, I'm like, look, I'm in my 40s.
yeah,
I have been struggling my whole life. I've been burning myself out, working year after year, giving 150, 200%. I
yes.
just needed a break from life. So I sold all my stuff. I sold my entire video production studio. I don't know if I told
Oh,
you that.
serious? No, you still
Yeah,
look
because
great,
it's
by the way. Shout
thanks,
outs,
thanks.
shout outs. Yeah.
Yeah, I sold it all and then got rid of my car, got rid of my apartment, and went minimal. It's like, okay, what am I attached to from my past that is making me feel the struggle? because it should be a pleasure, right? How
Yes.
lucky am I now to get to work, to get to hunker down and like make content for days on end? And how
Yes.
lucky am I to choose when I'm going to take a break? How lucky am I to feel? How lucky am I to feel stressed and then know
Yes.
what to do? But before this eat, pray, love, like sell everything, go minimal, I didn't understand that. I couldn't even feel when I was burning out. And how did that, like, what are the repercussions of that? It messes with my friendships, my family, my peers. And there was an actual tangible repercussion. My
Mm.
entire career exploded. So it's like everything that came before 45, right? It I love saying that out
Yeah,
loud.
I
It just
know.
makes me feel
45.
so
You
good.
just like to
I'm
whisper it.
level 45. I'm
You
level
look 20. You
45.
look 27. You look incredible.
Well, we could talk about that
Yeah, yeah,
later.
yes, yeah.
That's part of my branding,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
actually is
exactly.
really cool. But if you think about it, like
Mm.
you don't know what you need to
Mm.
survive. And I
Yes.
say survive, right? And that's
Yeah.
like people are burning out and they're not surviving. They're basically running themselves into the ground. So without the ability to go minimal and say, you know what? I cannot be that workhorse anymore because
Mm.
I'm not a workhorse. I'm Satine. I'm a woman, right? I
Exactly.
am a woman who has a series of skills and I can give information and I can do a certain thing with my creativity to connect with people. Whereas
Yes.
before now, it was work, 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 prove, 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 money, money, money. And I
Mhm.
went from making like 10 grand a month to living in Bali for our $1,500 a month.
That's incredible, though. That's incredible. Like how awesome it
Well,
is.
think
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you can't do that. You can't pay for an apartment. You can't
Yeah.
pay for a car, insurance, food, like any of those things for $1,500 a month. So I
Exactly.
went from opulence to poverty,
Hmm.
but then I understood what I actually really need.
Yeah.
And once I understood what I need, like really need,
Yeah.
do I need another pair of shoes? Absolutely not.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know exactly what I have. I know how to repair what I have. I know how to appreciate what I have. Now that I'm back in Denver, it's like, okay, well, I have to get a car because I have to get around. So, like, do I need another Mercedes?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe I
Mm.
would rather spend the money that I will be making, that I'm excited to make now,
Yeah.
on something a little cheaper, a little more reasonable,
Yes.
you
Yes. Yes.
know?
Yes. Yeah.
And so when I'm making money now, my craving, my production isn't about, oh shit, I gotta like pay for my apartment or I'm gonna get evicted.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
how lucky am I to like make content that resonates with people and then they pay me for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like seeing the true value of everything and that detachment. I totally agree. Like I haven't done it to that level of detachment,
Well,
which
you
is
have a family.
oh yeah.
You have a family.
Yeah. Yes.
So like
Exactly.
I am kind of a lone wolf, but I have the
Oh.
luxury of doing that. So
That's true. That's true. And yeah, that was probably another thing that we can explore too. It's like for people that do have family or have dependents, or a really kind of complex construction of their life already. How can they get to the state that you're talking about too? And to see kind of like in photo editing, if people didn't know, I am a photographer. Whenever I go into editing, when I teach people about it, it's there are those sliders, for your highlights, shadows, and stuff. Usually, to see the effect of the slider, you would go to the extremes, just so that you can see what it is. When it's like super a lot and then nothing. Then I think when you can see the extremes and see where the boundaries at, then you can actually place yourself to where you want to be between those two things, right? And seeing what you've shared right now too, it's incredible. And you know what? I have like actual questions for you, but our conversation is already incredible. So I kind of want to keep the flow on with things, but I'll start seeding them slowly so that we
yeah.
can like get into it while we're having fun because we haven't seen each other in person for over what 2 3 years.
Mandy, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, too
Yeah,
long.
many years. And
Yeah.
no,
It's
definitely
okay. I'm
missing you.
watching you,
I
so
know. Me too, me too. I've
it's
been
kind of
following. I've been
creepy, but
following.
not creepy because
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. Which is okay. Medium creep. All good. Mild creep, not medium
yeah,
creep.
yeah.
So yes. Main questions. For you, either from when you started or when you got back up again into a different realm or industry. how do you network again? So there's a quote like, we don't rise to our goals, but we fall into our systems. So what
Mm.
personal systems or daily rituals have helped you expand your network, especially beyond your immediate industry, while staying grounded in who you are?
Okay, I'll give you a story.
Sure.
So when I got canceled, I was like, I can't show my face again. I have to rebuild, but I need to rebuild something completely different because I couldn't even
Mhm.
look at gaming. I was just like, oh,
Oh,
I'm so ashamed. And this is
yeah.
before I healed. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, mm.
Mhm.
So I started looking at other jobs
Mhm.
and I was like, well, I'm qualified for this. And here's my resume. It's incredible. I've got a really good resume. But you
Mhm.
try to apply for jobs that are not CEOs when you have like CEO all across the board and they're like, you're overqualified, you're this and that. And I was trying to run away from who I was because I was embarrassed, ashamed. I was getting canceled. People would call companies saying, you can't let her work for you. It
Crazy.
was crazy, which
Yeah.
that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But the reality is that was the reality.
Mhm.
And I was so embarrassed and I needed a job because I had like $100,000 pulled out from under me, potentials
Wow.
and
Yeah.
like future work. I was like, maybe I just work for Amazon. Maybe I just deliver Amazon. Maybe I work for FedEx and just like
Mm.
wear a mask and go, deliver stuff. I had to realize that there is a possibility I will never be a personality ever again. And I had to, it was like that whole year was just ego death over and over. Like, what if I could never do that? What if I could never say my name in public again? Now, obviously, that's an extreme and not the case, but I really had to back up. If I don't have my network, if I don't have all of this stuff, all this list of accolades, who am I? Right? And so it's like, okay, well, turns out I've been an artist for 25 years. I'm an illustrator. I've done packaging design. I've got 3 graphic novels, and like I have tangible skills. I've led teams, tangible skills. And I was like, okay, so what if I just focus on those skills? And I was able to have a Clark Kent identity and super strange, become a professor. So my day job that people don't really know about is I'm a professor. And that was interesting because it was like I got to understand what I'm capable of and like what hard skills are consistent through my life. And I was like, okay, so I teach comics, I teach human anatomy, I teach how to be professional, which is interesting. I teach how to organize, I teach industry experience, right? I teach all of these things that made me realize that, instead of going and trying to do something completely different, I have skills that I can recalibrate into a new field. So after teaching for about a year and a half, I was like, you know what? I'm obsessed with biohacking. I've learned so much by doing this deep, deep, dark shadow work. I've really embraced humility, like real humility, not like, oh, I'm so humble. Like, damn, I could be dead right now. You know, there's like death threats. There was like a lot of stuff. And it's like, okay, well, if I can kill that ego in me and regrow my ego, right? And of course, ketamine therapy helped with that, like actual, helping my brain understand. It was so fascinating. So from that place of beginner's mindset, humility, if everything's removed, if everything's taken away from me, there's only one way to go, and that's up. I went from being completely depressed, went from going completely depressed all the way up to like so in love with life, like sitting on beaches with coconuts. I didn't like 2 years ago, you couldn't have told me my life would be this good. And it was that ripping everything apart, exposing everything, untangling all of my young parts that cause those triggers and cause me to believe all the negative words that come at me. And now I feel like Neo from The Matrix, like a negative word comes at me and I'm just like watching it go by. I'm like, you have no power over me. Like it's really awesome. you know? Um, when people ask for these like quick tips, what are your top 3, whatever, that life doesn't work that way. Life is a series of meditations, contemplations, reflections. And that's the work. And nobody gives themselves that time to do it. So for a normal person who has a family and has responsibilities and is like, well, I can't just move to Bali. Like, actually, it's really welcoming for families, very cheap and very good. But if you can't, these little things, right? Meditate, allow yourself 8 hours of sleep so you don't need an alarm to wake up. You don't need that jolt of cortisol. It's going to stress you out all day. It's going to mess with your hormones and mess with your brain. Your brain cannot work properly if you don't do a series of things. Meditating. What do you meditate for an hour? No, you meditate for 10 minutes or a half hour.
Mhm.
And maybe it's not just meditating. Maybe it's while you're doing the dishes. It's about presence.
Mhm.
It's about being fully present, having your mind focus in on whatever it is that moment asks of you, and you're not jumping around. So I would say that that's the answer is understanding where you are at any given point in time, allowing yourself grace
Mhm.
to exist and breathe and feel.
Mhm.
So anytime people get stressed out, even when I'm overwhelmed, I now have this thing where I am not attached to my feelings, my emotions. It'll come up and I'll be like, man, like I feel this like 5-year old, like, man, 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 man. And then I will grab it. And I actually am able to conceptually catch it. Like, oh, but I'm a cartoon, so of course I'm going to do that. Right?
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, oh, hello, feeling. Who are you? How old are you? And this is part of what I do with my clients. It's called internal family systems.
Cool.
So, they come to me and they're like, oh, I'm having a hard time with my job, losing weight or whatever. And I'll be able to, through talking with them, catch these moments. And I can see it now that I've done it so many times. I can see it when it pops up. You and I are having a conversation. So suddenly you get triggered. I can say, oh, that looks like a younger part. We go into that and then we go into the past or what it's connected to. And then
Nice.
we nurture it and give it the love that it needs.
Yeah.
And then integrate it into the system, and suddenly that trigger doesn't happen anymore.
Wow.
And so that would be another thing I would say, like find grace and find peace and calm. Like you could
Mhm.
just be cool and calm all the time. And then also recognize when parts of you come up that are not who you are, but they're like unhealed parts that are waiting for you to give them attention.
Mhm.
Because if you can imagine, you're walking down the street, you're meeting people at conventions or in the stores, you think you're talking to them. You're actually not talking to just them. You're talking to them and every part that was not healed in their past. And
Nice.
so I say that as an external thing, but consider that as an internal thing too. You think that you're running 100% of your big ass sense of self. Anytime you're angry, you snap, you're annoyed, those are all parts that are waiting to be healed. So, how can you even understand how to be present with yourself if you've not been present with those past parts of you that are just dying for you to give them attention?
Wow. That's incredible. That's
That's what I've
incredible.
been up to for the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
that's it. No, no, just kidding. No, that's done.
Easy
Like
peasy.
I'm trying to apply it already because it's got a lot to do with like for me science. I love the space, the quantum, the planets, black holes, universe, and recently they've that multiverse kind of a situation, parallel stuff that's going on. But technically, it's kind of like that, where, like you said, when you interact with somebody, there's multiple layers of depth into their past that's actually in the present. Like that's almost like, not, I wouldn't say festering, but it just exists.
Well, it's called
Yeah,
blending.
blending. Okay,
So,
okay, blending.
would you like me to explain internal family systems to you and the
Yeah, that'd be
magic?
cool. Would love to. Love.
So, it's not schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Just want to put that right on
First
the
thing. Yeah.
table. It's not schizophrenia.
Okay.
But what they found is that people have parts of them that are different,
Yeah.
right? So the big thing to think about is there's one big soul self, big S sense of self, and that is calm, cool, collected, curious, um, compassionate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you bring that with you every day, everywhere you go.
Mhm.
But if here's like a timeline, so you've got when you're born all
Mhm.
the way till now, and there's like it's a line, then
Yeah.
to now. When something happens as you're a child, your body system, your nervous system, your brain isn't developed enough to handle it. So it
Mhm.
like breaks off this little branch. And at the end of the branch is a closed loop of the moment of like trauma or unsafeness. And that's protected by something called a manager.
Mm,
So if you can imagine, we're in our 40s, you have so many of those. And a lot of them are built within like the first 5 to 10 years, right? So if you think about this, anytime in high school, in your college, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, something will come up and it's not even like the drama of that situation. It's
mm,
you're a moment that is frozen in time that's triggered. And
mhm.
so, like I said, when people come to me, I'll be able to recognize the beginning of that thread and I'll grab that thread
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'll
yeah. Okay.
follow it all the way back. And sometimes, like, well, that reminds me of that time in high school. And like, back further, go further. And we
Yeah,
go
yeah.
further and further. And we meet the manager and we talk to the manager. And a lot of people will be like, yeah, you got to do shadow work and you got to like kill your demons. I'm like, oh God, no.
No, no.
Actually, they're not demons.
Mm,
They are all of it's us.
yeah.
It's all of the us's that try to cope with this pain that's this unfinished business, right, from
Hmm.
our past. So you
Hmm.
have this guardian, this manager, this protector. You go back to them and you meet them, you introduce yourself to them. And when I'm walking into someone's psyche with them, it's very interesting. Dungeons and Dragons helped me a lot to be able to
Yes.
do this. I'm
Yes.
like the navigator, but this person, I'm like, okay, it's over here. You interact with them. So I'm just kind of standing aside and guiding them, but they talk to themselves.
Mm,
So
mm.
they talk to this manager, and the manager usually thinks that they're younger,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're like, I don't trust you. Like, you don't have what it takes to protect yourself. And so, through gratitude, through showing appreciation for the hard work that they've done, you build a relationship with this manager. The manager moves out of the way. Usually, I have them come with us. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, well, why don't you just stand here and let us show you that we're trustworthy? Then we go back into the past. We have an interaction. I'll usually be able, I'm like, look, this is like Dungeons and Dragons. It's a
Yeah.
scene in your mind, in your body. It's like in
Yes.
your cells.
Yeah.
You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can pause, you can unfreeze yourself while everything else is frozen, and then there's an interaction. Either they give it the love that they should have gotten from their caretaker, they can remove themselves from that moment, they can, speak for themselves and do whatever, but then they take themselves out of that situation, move them forward, and integrate them into their bodies. The hard part is when it's blended, when the adult sense of self suddenly becomes blended with that childlike part. And then that's where
Mm.
I step in. And then we start to move them apart and get them to start communicating. But that's kind of the term, right? Blended.
Blending.
So when you're talking to someone and you feel like, oh, that was weird, it's
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
because that young part is blended with them. And
Ah,
then the cool part, and this is the quantum part, right?
yeah. Yeah.
I love quantum jumping. So this is
Yeah.
um, a result of that just happens. Once
Mm.
you integrate it in your system and you ask the manager to just be a part of your like cerebral army forever, you
Mhm.
ask it like, what would you rather be doing? And
Mm.
like one of my yelling ones was like, I just want to sing. So she has this like power, this voice that I get to tap into. I just look over my shoulder. I'm like, you ready to go? And she's like, let's go,
Nice.
you know? And then that ripple effects through the timeline.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for instance, your brain and body don't know what's real and what's not.
Mm. Mhm, mhm,
If you tell it something, if you believe something, it's true in your
mhm,
system.
mhm,
So, two things can be true now. You have a whole life experience of this torment in your life that has repercussions and has resulted in like ripple effects in your timeline. And you have the result of healing that moment and that ripple effects through your timeline.
yes. Yes.
And that's when the triggers go away because
Yeah.
suddenly you're like a big weight is lifted off your shoulders. Anytime you remember any memory that was linked to that original memory, 20s, 30s, teens, whatever, there is a sense of calm because that is at the center of everything. It
That's
also
it.
helps
Oh,
like
sorry. It
make
also.
meditate. It also
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
make meditation easier because then you don't
So
have
yeah. Yeah.
the screening of these like
Oh
other
yeah.
versions of you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I do.
That, oh, that's that's incredible. I'm just thinking of, well, the first thing when you started talking about it, this like big S self kind of a thing where I, after having, our son Asher, beautiful. I love being like parenthood is incredible. And like how you talk about, curiosity and explorativeness. It's like I see what I want to be in my son right away. Because such a great reflection, and it's immediate too. And I think that's kind of the beauty of creating families and stuff like that. It's not just the whole, how holistic it is, or the brand of family. It's actually,
Yeah.
I think, the parents get to reflect again back to that state. And I constantly, when I'm interacting with him, it keeps reminding me of kind of my childhood too. And I grew up in a musical art family too. My parents are both jazz musicians, and was going to head back to Taiwan to become a singer and stuff too. But ended up meeting the love of my life, which is my wife. Yes, I have to be clear with that too. Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
love of my life. And then I have, I think music is such a powerful thing, and that's another topic. But how you've been sharing about that kind of very innocent self when there's nothing built on top of it. That's kind of always, I felt like, where I want to be at, even though with all these experiences, this past 45 years of stuff that
Yeah.
we've had already. Yeah,
Mhm.
45. Um, I think we can still go back. Now I'm just trying to simplify stuff and be clear with everything too, kind of like how you're sharing it. But it's really cool where if you can affect something, the whole like timeline shifts immediately.
Everything.
Yeah, and that's
There,
like such a
being able to
powerful thing.
tap into that
Yeah.
piece, that's the grounded part. So it's like, here I
Yes.
am, knowing exactly now, like
Mm.
it took a couple years
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
all the work.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca. You don't have to
Yeah.
do ayahuasca. I already did it.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Thanks for doing it. No, no, not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
I've heard
Um,
lots. Yeah.
when you're rebranding and
Mm.
you're trying to find grounding, it's
Mm.
easy to allow other people's mentoring,
Yes.
advice
Yeah.
to seep
Yes.
into your system. So as you're rebranding, it's like, how do you be so calm and collected and
Hmm.
welcoming and curious about possibilities and networking? Man,
Yes.
being from LA, like, come on, everyone's trying to sell you something.
Of
Everyone's got a
course.
good
All
idea.
day. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before my healing, it was yes to everything. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, that did not turn out well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I have this cocoon, and I practice this. This is my ayahuasca experience,
Okay.
was a montage of me practicing boundaries,
Yeah.
practicing allowing myself to hear something,
Yeah.
and then having and not exiting my boundary and not
Yeah.
letting it go inside, right? How
Ah,
to like really hear what's
yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
hear what people are saying, hear between the words that they're saying, and
Hmm.
listen to what they're not saying.
Yes.
So, and I will always be open to people telling me what they think, always be open to people telling me like advice,
Yes.
but always considering it and never giving an answer before I've had sleep to think on it.
Yes. Sleep's important. That's so true in terms of like being so something I teach my students is KTP, which is being kind, thoughtful, and polite. I think
Yeah.
these are great traits to have not only towards others but towards yourself when you're re-exploring that thing. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, at least the ones I teach in Asia, because it's the culture itself, it's way more collective in terms of mindset rather than self. Sometimes they don't even have a feeling of the self. They don't want to
Yes.
spotlight. They don't want to be, better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Whereas here in North America, that's the other way around, right? We don't
Yeah.
think about ourselves first, and then we think about other. But like you said, it's how do you have that? How do you treat moments, comments, what people share, things that happen as what it is, and then really, think deeply and meditate on it before you let what you need to come in, right? And
Yeah.
it's a very tough, I think, or it's a practice, like
It's a
anything you need
practice, but
reps, right?
it's but you got to know you, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
what does the biggest sense of self you look like?
yeah.
I know what I look like,
Yes.
and I know what my different egos look like. So it's like I have a different ego for different things. I have a different
So
ego
cool.
when I present myself to my stepdaughter
Mhm.
or my friends or potential dates,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And these are not separate entities, but they are.
Yes.
It's who I need to be. So it's a bit of me with extra flavor, like a little seasoning, right?
Yeah. I know. No,
Yeah.
and I totally agree because I don't I'm very authentic to I know who what my authentic being is, but just the shell of it, it's almost like an outfit
Yeah.
change, you know, where it makes people feel a certain way how you show up, you know, and it's really cool to observe that and like how you shared that hearing between the lines, hearing what's not said. I think that takes practice too, because a lot of people are just so stuck in what's being said and what's practical, you know, and like you said, things, you know, whatever you believe is what it is, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
you know, it might not be reality, but we always have this meaning that we put onto things, that we project onto things. And yeah, like personally, I've grown up in, you know, multiple different religions, but the one that really resonated with me was like Buddhism, where we talk about
Mm.
the void, where there's no meaning in anything really until you put the meaning into something. And it's like, what is the best value that you can put into that object in terms of the meaning of it? But no, this is super cool. But like, I have more questions for you. And thank you so
Oh, yeah,
much for
yeah,
answering the first one incredibly. Yeah, yeah, that was
One
awesome.
down,
Yeah,
check.
one down, 30 to go. No, just kidding. But you know, it's I know that both of us can explore nonstop because that's in our nature. Like, oh yeah, another thing that you talked about that was super cool was from the D&D side you're able to guide and help people discover and journey through that in a very creative way, which I think it's incredible. And how it's kind of labeled as, you know, the manager and the different identities that you have throughout these timelines. And then you create this like environment to live in because that's like in D&D, that's what you do, right? So it's so cool that you have that skill set that you can help people with. So, but would
You
love to explore
know,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I think about it. Like, I've been a pro game master for like 13 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've been in D&D. I've been playing it since I was 8, so I've got some very specific skill sets.
The 15 years. Yeah. No, no, just kidding. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, when somebody comes to my table, right? Say I'm at a game store, I'm gaming at my house, and people come over, and this is better when I'm doing it live.
Mm.
What people don't realize is when they come to the table, they sit down and then they play a game. I don't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm happy. I'm doing my Satine thing. I'm like giggling. But what they don't see is that I'm watching everybody. I'm watching how they come through the door,
Mm-hmm.
how they put their bags down, how
Yeah.
long it takes them, where they're going. I'm watching where they're looking at, if they're looking at their phone, how they're interacting, who's eating, who's not eating, who's rushing, who's taking their time, who's talking someone's ear off.
Mm.
And this is like an hour before we start playing. I watch them set up their areas. I
Yeah.
watch them interact with each other. Um, it is so amazing to be able to hear and listen to people before they're like I ring the bell and like, okay, we're gonna play. I don't actually ring a bell, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Time
I
to eat.
start the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Awesome.
Having that ability, and it's like it used to be a hypervigilance. It used to be because of trauma. Now
Mm.
it's about curiosity and care. When I'm looking and watching them, I know that when they sit down to the game table, they no longer are whatever age they are. They are 6 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are so vulnerable and open. And the choices they make and the choices I make all make a big difference and a huge impact. They don't just close their books and go home. They
Mm-hmm.
are impacted, but it's their safe space to
Yes.
be impacted. So I went back to school after I got canceled for psychology because I was like, what in the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, there's chaos and I missed something and there's more for me to learn. And when I learned, I was like, oh my gosh, hundreds, thousands of people I've been gaming with, I've been mentoring, I've been doing all this stuff with, and I had no idea the impact
Mm.
of what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when people are watching people play, they turn 6 years old and they are open. I
Yes.
mean, when you're a kid, you are open and you absorb everything. So, if you think about it, you've got this openness of people at the game table and they're interacting action reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to gift things into the game.
Mm.
There's times where I make them all fail. They just can't, because they need to learn how to
Mm,
overcome stuff together. And I
mm,
want to watch them build camaraderie. I want to watch them give the ball to someone else because they're
cool.
better at this than them. So I gift them that. And then they take that accomplishment, they take that good feeling, and then they take that home with them. And moment by moment, game after game, they start building trust with themselves and for other people. They know that this group of people they can trust. And at the same time, I'm watching now when somebody comes out, their trauma comes out into the game. Whereas I wasn't able, I did not have what it took before when somebody was triggered and they table flipped. Now I know what to do in those circumstances and I know what's happening instead of like, this guy is just pissed off and he's this angry person. Like, no, actually, we should all be so grateful that he feels so safe with us,
You open
that
that up.
he's open and vulnerable. And actually, we should all turn towards him and like recognize this moment. And now I know what to do in those times. But now you've got millions of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. They don't have that sensitivity.
Yes.
So hopefully by like talking about what I do now, other game masters will understand the power of like real power they have over people where
Yeah.
we were just playing a game, but it's
I know.
nothing's ever just to anything.
The healing. Yeah, thank you for that too. And thank you for what you're doing now too. Really appreciate it. And it kind of allows me to see the importance of what I do too, like through what you do. Because
Mm,
I'm also like the observation, I think the observation skills, I think everyone should be able to level up so that they can help, others around them, the people that they care about. And there's seemingly kind of this structure that everyone's kind of running in, the daily life, the Joneses kind of a situation where they're scared to find themselves. Like you're saying, we don't
mm,
give enough time to take care of ourselves in a real meaningful way, really explore that. And I don't know, like I find like we go into in phases, right? Where in the 20s we're super energetic, just like don't know really where we're going or just trying to capture everything that we have. In the 30s, I think we've used some of our skills well already, and we can kind of choose a little bit of the opportunity. So we say yes to a lot of stuff. Whereas I find that in my 40s now, I'm learning how to say no to a lot of things because my focus is, my son, my wife, my mom, and the close friends that are around me. And I find that, you know, if we can impart intelligence to the people that are going through those stages, I think it's, yeah, like I don't know, like do you still have to explore through things first
oh
before you can?
man,
Yeah.
yes, you have to.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah, yeah.
hero's journey you got to
I
do
know, I
it.
know. I'm like,
Ah, I
is there a
know,
way
it
to just jump to
sucks.
the end? I'm like,
You know
never.
what?
Yeah.
Like you could.
Okay.
You could
Okay.
jump to the end, but it would truncate your experience.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
That's so
like,
true.
right? Like
That's so
it
true.
wouldn't have the right meaning. But
Yeah.
my theory is
Yeah.
everything before 40 is practice.
Okay.
You don't
Cool.
even
Cool. Cool.
start living until
Until
like
40.
42.
42. 42. Okay, good.
Yeah,
So it
42.
started living already. We started living.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good. You're
yeah,
good.
we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So
so
I
interesting.
used to jump, quantum jump
Yeah.
to tap into, you know, the there are so many different universes, parallel universes, and possible futures.
Hmm.
So I would quantum jump into the timeline of who I wanted to be, but I had to make that
Cool.
choice
Yeah.
because I had to say, who am I now and who do I want to be?
Wow.
Those are two totally different people.
Yes.
And I had to really aim
Yeah.
when I found out and like wrote down and meditated on this of like what does it mean to be that person?
Mm.
I reverse engineered the things that I needed to do to be that person.
Yes.
Super interesting. So I'm coming back from my adventure. I was basically homeless for like 8 months. I call it homeless, but it's digital nomad. It's fine.
Yeah.
Um, from LA to Denver, I had this sketchbook and I drew the old version of me, very hollow, and then the new version of me, which is fierce and wild and just cocky, and I love it, right? But like real, like really tangible. And I drew this line, and I thanked myself for developing a shell for me to grow into, a cocoon for me to
Hmm.
grow and blossom. And
Hmm.
then I realized, like, holy moly, like this moment, this is the line in the sand where I have 100% become the woman I've been quantum jumping into the future to
Amazing.
be. And I'm like, I have arrived and I now have everything I need for the next 15 years.
Wow. That's
Um,
incredible.
that's been the most profound. experience. There's like, there's no question. I don't question things anymore.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
took, what was it, like 2000 during COVID all the way till, 2025. That's 5 years.
Yes.
And I thought I was hot shit.
Mm.
And then it all came crumbling down 2 years later. And then I dug myself back up and out and then
Yeah.
really found who I was. So that was like a solid 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're going to live to like me, 150, which
Yeah. We
that's
we are.
like,
We both are. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously.
oh, we actually will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But
300.
yeah, people are actually, the look is 120 right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I'm like with biohacking, it's
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
be like,
Exactly. We should be
yeah,
like 250. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
But think about it, right? So if I spent for that developmental stage, there's many developmental stages, but this is a
Hmm.
big one. This
Hmm.
is, will you survive for the rest of your life, or will you not? If you don't do this work, you watch it. You watch people like they drink themselves to death.
Yeah.
They crash and burn, and then all of a sudden they get like locked in. They turn into rocks mentally and physically.
Yeah.
But if you can get over that,
Hmm.
like that's 5 years out of 100, 150, even 80 years. It's
Hmm.
nothing.
Yes.
And it's like you have to take a step back with everything you're doing. Nothing is so important that you can't reflect on who you are so that you can grow and be better tomorrow.
Agreed. 100%. It's like you're worth it. You're worth doing all this like stepping away, for, right? And I think that the like people don't meditate enough on that, in terms of like again the taking care of yourself part. It's
Well,
really
they're
hard. Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
so
yeah. Afraid.
afraid because,
Exactly.
like, if you have to face yourself,
I know. It's tough.
every judgment that you have on another person is what you are not saying to yourself. And
Yes.
I have met clients who literally cannot look at themselves. I've tried hard, they've tried hard, and they're
Wow.
so afraid they can't even ask themselves questions. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of? And that's like my MO. I'm always like, if I feel fear again, I'm like, oh, what are you afraid of? And then I
Yeah,
go into
yeah,
it
yeah,
deep.
yeah.
So because it's exciting for me because I know it's worth it. I know running into fear is absolutely worth it
Mm,
because
mm,
fear
mm.
is flaky.
Yes.
It's
Ex
flimsy,
exactly.
but
Yes.
it looks so sturdy from the outside.
Yes.
And that little kid part is so scared to
Yeah.
approach it.
Yeah.
But when, like with guides, right? And
Yes.
that's what a lot of people do is they get coaches, therapists, whatever.
Yeah.
They get guides to go and like hold their hands to go and meet themselves. So it's like, okay, why is it hard for people to meditate? Why is it hard for them to consider it? Some people can't even think about it.
Yeah.
Why is it hard to look yourself in the mirror? And then you have to answer those questions before you can even sit down to meditate. Or that's what you're meditating on. Like really, really sitting there. And every time your mind wanders,
Mm.
why won't I let myself think about it? But
Mm.
also, it's facing your shadow, right? Like,
Yes. Yes.
so one of the big things of the healing that helped me kind of move forward in my life was learning what my addictions are.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
I have like, I don't drink, I like psychedelics, but like, I'm
Mm.
not addicted to them. I had to think about what I was, well, we'll talk about the cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
What was I addicted to? Why was I addicted to this victim mindset?
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
my ex was violent in so many ways. Why did I choose him?
Mhm.
That's a
Mhm.
real question, right?
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
is the darkness that in me that resonates with that? Why do I want to be punished? Why am I punishing myself by letting him do those things to me? And it's like, did I deserve what my dad did to me? Absolutely not. And
Mhm.
that's karmic. That's youth. That doesn't count. But there
Mhm.
are choices that we have. Once I was able to leave the house with my ex-husband, I mean, from my ex-husband, it was like, why the hell did I stay so long?
Mhm.
And then I
Mhm.
had to ask, what did I like about it?
Mhm.
Those are
Yeah.
the serious questions that people are so afraid because the answer is, I fucking loved it,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And then it's
Exactly.
like, what shame comes up for people when they say that?
Yeah.
Like, I loved it when he screamed at me because it validated the self hate that I had for myself. Where did that self hate
Mhm.
come from? Oh,
Exactly.
well, it came from this. And if it came from my mom yelling at me, then that was the only way I was shown love. And so,
Uh,
therefore, I loved it. And then
yeah.
it's taking that fact, taking it
Mhm.
outside of ourselves and going, oh my God,
Yeah.
I see you and you don't need to, that's not good.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay to like let go of that. So the shadow work, people are like, do shadow work, do the thing, meditate on it, think about it. But it's like, are you prepared
Yeah.
for
To
real
really
answers?
face it. Exactly.
Seriously. And people are not. But
Yeah,
hopefully, by having these conversations,
yeah.
like, I didn't know until I started listening to other people and their shadow work. And I was like, oh, okay, drama triangle. Why did I choose the drama triangle? That's like you basically poke the bear chases you, and then you're like, oh no, I'm a victim. It's like, but then you go back and you poke the bear, and it's
Again.
like, yeah. A lot of these things we're not even conscious that we're
Yes,
choosing. And
exactly.
that's the hard work. What am I unconsciously choosing to stay in this situation where essentially I'm punishing myself?
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
that's the Dharma wheel, right? That's like one of the many hells that we don't even realize that we're spinning in.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like to stay comfortable. That, when we talk about comfort zone, I remember doing some like explorative self-explorative work with this course before. Like this was when I was 20, because I didn't have enough experiences to explore. But it was cool because it was closer to when I was a kid. So there were a lot of things that rose, and then I was like, oh shit, this is actually pretty bad stuff, or things that I didn't have the tools to cope with, and I just blocked it off basically. Like you said, the manager comes in and just takes that moment. But at that moment, it's like, wow, this is actually not that healthy, the way that I'm treating the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing is, at that present time, I had the tools to deal with that time. So, but it's so scary, like you said, even though fear's flaky, but it's really intimidating to like step forward. And I think it's more access of where to get help, you know,
Yeah,
and how can we find that? I know like people that will be listening, obviously can access you and me too, like if you guys need help. But
yeah,
it's like people that don't have that help, don't have these really well experienced people that are able to guide them through these things if they're willing to explore it. Like, what's the first step someone should, do to get
yeah.
to a good environment?
Well, I mean, listening to conversations like this and
Mm-hmm.
literally being brave enough to reach out to one of us.
Yes.
Because if somebody tells me what they're going through and I am not equipped to help them, I will
Mm-hmm.
always give them more resources. And
Yes.
sometimes that's the quest. The quest
Mm.
is the search,
Yes.
right? Googling it, maybe like, for instance, I tried 5 different therapists on this one app, and it was like $80 a month. That's all the money I had, and I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna try it." And I was like, "Okay, well, I tried one, and she wasn't, it didn't work out." And then I
Yeah.
tried another and another, and then I was like, "Okay." The frustration of not landing those therapists made me look somewhere else, and that is where I found
Ah,
my therapist. And
cool.
it's
Cool.
like understanding it's the journey, and the
Yes.
first person might not be the person, but it's okay to try them
Mm-hmm.
and really look. There's different groups, right? So I did a group therapy for the first time a couple years ago, and I'd heard about it, and I was like, okay, like Fight Club, whatever. No, it's like actually really beautiful, because
Oh,
not
okay.
only are you, well, in like the beginning of Fight
Yeah.
Club,
Yeah.
they
Yeah. Yeah.
meet,
Yeah.
like they go to like group sessions.
Yes. 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 The
Yeah,
non-violent
so
part. Yeah.
yeah, the nonviolent part.
Yes.
It was so cool because here I am with a professional and other people who were going through similar things. And so not only was I getting feedback for what I was sharing and the story that I was sharing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all stories that we have to believe in order to survive. And
Yes.
back then it was so intense, and I was like dysregulated all the time. I was able to build there's different kinds of relationships, but a
Sure.
trust with these people, that when even one of the other people spoke up and says, I actually hear you saying this, and you sound really confident, but it's actually not what you think it is. I
Yeah.
was able to trust them. And then from there, realize that I was ready to take another step into another avenue. And so I started searching. And by learning about from all these different avenues of therapy and modalities, I was able to catapult into the next stage of healing.
Mm.
And then I got the skill of learning how to look.
Yes. Yes.
So,
No, that's
yeah.
incredible. Like that observation. of like heightening the awareness and sensitivity of your observation. I think it's like how people breathe, how people walk. Like I play competitive like badminton, and it's a very fast-paced sport. And the periphery is like, you have to be aware of it, even though that's not where you're focusing at, but you're aware of
Yeah.
it. So you can take that information and add to the experience of how do you be better on court or be better with the partner that you're playing with, and all at the same time, battling the opponent that's across from
Yeah.
you and observing what they're good and bad at, and then after a while you'll be able to anticipate. It's kind of that 1 hour that you have before when you actually game. You observe everything first, and then you can now anticipate, potentially what are the different angles and the blending of these different characters too. I think it's super
Yeah.
interesting. And but yeah, it's cool because it can also jump back to yourself too in terms of how you blend your different existence in time, existences in time, how that all blends together. And because now it's all a mishmash. I can't really like determine when I was like one or two, like the poor experiences that I've had, other than my mom telling me. Like I remember she mentioned when I was a kid, the reason that I have good table manners was when I was eating spaghetti, I used my hands, and then I was eating meatballs, and my dad slapped me really
Oh
hard.
my gosh.
And of course, I don't remember this, but apparently my mom goes like, "Why'd you do that?" Blah blah blah. But I never played with noodles anymore with my hands, so it
Oh,
was
well,
it was
he never
conditioned.
ate noodles again.
Yeah, I never. Well, as an Asian, that'd be pretty tough. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
totally.
noodles. But my
Yeah.
dad was super loving too, and that's why it's the stories kind of get mushed up too. It's we've created a permanent story for it that just sits there, and whenever
Yeah.
those get triggered, they come back up, and it's actually a very simple way that it shows up too. It's not anything too complicated. Yeah.
Well, when you're that young, everything is simplified,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How
Yes.
can you understand the what your father is going through? How this one really nice person does this one thing
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
so traumatic and
Yeah.
life altering.
Exactly.
That doesn't make him a bad person. He made a mistake.
Sure.
He did a thing, and maybe that was better than what his parents did,
Mm. Mm, 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 mm.
right?
Totally.
Imagine what he went through. Imagine what his parents went through,
Yes. Yes.
right? So it's like that's why I'm always take a step back,
Yeah.
look at the big picture.
Yeah.
And that's how you can tell when you're blended. If you
Ah.
cannot take a step back
Okay.
and
Oh,
see all aspects, you see this in relationships a lot.
cool.
So
Yeah.
in relationships, like you can't help but be constantly triggered all the time. Well, he never does this and she always does
Yes.
that. That's like a 12-year-old. That's a
Yeah.
7-year-old.
No.
You know, I'm gonna go tell my therapist on our couples counselor on you. Like what?
Holy shit.
Like that's not you being present. That
Yeah.
is a small version of you that needs love and attention, and
Mm.
like and feels unsafe and is
Yes.
afraid of being alone. Like you just follow the thread all the way back, and usually it's
Yeah.
fear of being alone, abandoned, neglected.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, with my son, it's very clear. Like yesterday, we were watching Edmonton Oilers are in Stanley Cup Finals for hockey, and we were watching a game at our friend's place, and we just played basketball during intermission outside, and
Cute.
he fell. He was running and he fell. It wasn't a big fall, but he was searching for attention right away. And you saw his face. He's like ready to like go hard crying. And then I was there scooping, and I'm like, you're fine, and did you get hurt anywhere? And it's that I know that he won't remember that scene exactly, but I want him to know the presence of a guide that's there to assist him. And yeah, it's like I get emotional thinking about it too. But
That's so
yeah,
sweet.
yeah, 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 I know. But I think, I feel that I'm blessed with my life that I
Yeah.
get this opportunity to show this to my son, because
Mm.
not and my dad showed me so much love, even though he passed when he was 66. So and
Mm.
at that time I was 17, and so I didn't get too much time with him, especially in my adult years. That not that I wish that he was around now that I can interact with him. Of course I do, but it's not a very important piece to me. But my actions now I can see in what I remembered of him, and
Yeah.
how I'm treating
Oh,
my son. So it's a
that's
cool
beautiful.
like parallel. I can kind of see like, oh cool, I remember my dad being this. Like there's certain actions that show up. And it's cool because I want to pass this down to Asher, my son, to pass on to his children to in the future, or whoever he interacts with that he can show love to, right? And it's so scary that you can't do that now, like just freely,
Yeah.
because there's so many different conditions of or motivations, I guess, people protect themselves from because of how we're connected digitally now. And it's kind of sad that way, right? So
Well, if you think about it,
mm,
it takes people like us,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Who can be so present
yeah.
and so non-judgmental to allow people to feel safe because
Mm,
they are
mm,
safe. And if you
yeah.
think about it, we are all safe. There are
Yes.
things in the world that are bad that happen, but inside of ourselves, we are safe at
Hmm.
every given moment,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I might get kidnapped tomorrow,
Hmm.
but inside of
It's amazing.
myself, I
Yeah,
am safe.
yeah.
So that reality is not something that people live in and
Mm,
realize. And I think, kind of like parents, children learn through everything that they see. But what people don't realize is that it's not just children, it's everybody.
yes,
The more you see what's possible, the more you can accept that in your life. If you
yes.
see people talking about the deep work, then you're like, you know what? Maybe I do the deep work, right? If you see
Mhm.
people grounded, you can realize the difference between being triggered all the time and what being grounded looks like. You can see it when somebody is tormenting you, you can see when you're being triggered and you're projecting on someone
Yes,
else and
yes,
they take the bait and then you do that ping pong, right?
yeah.
Or when you're projecting on someone else and they don't take the bait and you're like, wait a second, you're not playing in this way with me. Well, I want to be with you, so I'm going to learn how to not play that game and actually be whole and then find the reasons why I play that game in the first place.
It's very interesting that not willing to or not engaging in the ping pong situation because sometimes people seek that as the comfort, right? And actually, most
Mm.
times, victimization,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's
And it's not a bad thing. I want to put that
exactly,
out there. Like
yeah, yeah.
you don't even know that there's
It's
another way. I
exactly.
didn't. I
Right.
I was such a victim mentality person.
Mm,
Like I feel unrecognizable from who I was
mm, mm, mm,
before 2 years ago.
mhm,
I was like, oh, this happened to me, this happened to me. All of these things that happened to me made me who I am, right? And actually, what it turns out is the reflection of everything happening and my participation in it or my healing from it or whatever, that grounded sense of self is actually who I am, who's risen out of that, right?
mm,
But
mm.
these conversations, like people don't have these conversations. So
I
we have to have
know.
these conversations.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's cool. Like, of course, we encourage anyone that's listening to have more of these conversations with everyone, or be open to have these conversations too when people approach you to do that. Because sometimes it's like, I'm too busy, And I felt that you were open enough. That's why I approached. Not that I wouldn't approach
It
people
was
that
good
I
timing.
yeah, yeah. I think the
Really good
timing's good. Oh,
timing.
really? Yeah, you're a busy lady too. So I
No,
really
like
appreciate.
I drew that line 2 weeks ago.
Oh, oh, really? Oh, nice. That's good.
That's how hard I'd been working. And
Oh.
I didn't even like I could not have had this conversation with you before 2 weeks ago.
Wow, really? That's
Yeah.
crazy. No,
Yeah.
really appreciate it, friend. So
Oh,
love that.
thanks.
Love that we can explore this together because it's very I feel we're doing really similar things and how we interact with people and try to support others, but from a very different, background, different ways. But it's cool to talk about things and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, what you're talking about is incredible that I can use in what I'm doing right now too. And um, I just want life to be simple, not easy, but I want it to be like I found the power of simplicity now because I can spend more time with, again, my loved ones and ultimately to myself. Like you said, that true safe space within us being healthy, truly working out, eating properly and all that stuff too. Even though I love like food is an entertainment at a lot of times too. So,
I eat ice cream every day. We
oh,
haven't even
yeah,
talked
oh,
about
no.
that. I
Oh,
do.
I just bought one of those Ninja Creamy.
Oh, I got one
Oh,
too.
you got one?
I
Okay.
haven't made it yet, but yeah, I totally.
So that's the thing. I'm like, if we can convert like things that we think are vices and use that as a vessel, the vice as
Protein
just the
ice
vessel.
cream.
Yeah, yeah, that contains. Yeah, exactly. Then that's all we need to do. You know, ice cream can heal a lot, or
There's a time and a place for everything. And
yes,
what I
yes.
loved about what you said before is like in your 20s, you're away, in your 30s, like this is what being human is.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
have to go adventure in your 20s. You
Yeah.
have to make mistakes. You have to make money, lose everything.
Yeah.
That's when you're malleable, right?
Yes.
That's you're just skill building.
Yeah.
You're getting your heart broken and it seems
Hmm.
so painful when you're doing it and you're in it and you're
Yeah.
like
Sucks.
making bad choices. Like that's literally when you make the bad choices. And then in your
Yes.
30s, I call it the breeding era,
Mm.
right? So you let people have, I say, it sounds so vulgar when I say it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
So animalistic.
breeding area.
Yeah. Yeah.
But think about it, like after 25 is when your prefrontal cortex comes online, so you're not even an adult until you're 25.
Exactly. Yeah.
People don't realize that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you make a bunch of mistakes, you do the thing, knowing that you're gonna live till 80 to 120.
At least. Yeah. Yeah.
And then in your 30s, most people focus on having families and having kids and hunkering down and establishing and building, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then in your 40s is the self-reflection and it's actually, I've heard it called this a lot, but it's second puberty. You are now
Ah.
coming into your own. Like, look at us. Our faces are different than it
Yes.
was,
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, we are different and we are more refined. And then that patience. I would not suggest to someone in their 20s
Mm-hmm.
to slow down.
Mm. Exactly.
You have energy for a
Go.
reason.
Yeah. Go.
Go go just
Go hard.
wreak havoc.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah. Yeah.
hard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I did a lot of crazy stuff in my
Yeah.
20s
Yeah.
and I look back I'm like good for her
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
could not do that again. Like
Right.
I don't have the energy for it. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have the anything for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like and then for people in their 30s when they're like should I have had kids? Like that's literally the time you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
biologically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like the advice I give to people in their 40s is different than the 30s, is different
Mm-hmm.
than the 20s. Like
Mm-hmm.
in your 20s, you got super lucky.
Mm.
Not a lot of people can go and reflect on their childhood in their 20s.
Mm.
Everything's so fresh and ripe.
Yes.
And the pain,
Yeah.
the drama is so rich and it's
Yes.
almost like that's the last time you feel.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because in your
Totally.
30s, you're just too busy.
Yeah.
You're too busy to feel anything. And
Yeah.
then you got to remind yourself what feeling is like in your 40s, right?
That's
So,
so hard.
the conversation that we're having is about branding, is about grounding in, is about who am I and like what am I doing? And it really is like, where are you at any point in your path?
Mm.
The energy you have in your 20s, who you are, the way you function, go big, go hard, use that energy.
Mm-hmm.
The 30s ground in and develop do something long
Yes.
term really
Yeah.
like put in the work do the grind
Yeah.
and your 40s like now you're looking into the future and
Mm.
everything that you've done up until that point
Mm-hmm.
that's the skill set you have to go in the future. So for instance, so if people who don't know who I am, I was a gamer,
Mm-hmm.
internet gamer. I invented live stream Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
and that was in 2010.
Oh wow.
Before that,
Yeah.
I was a porn star for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I went to art school for 5 years. I was a
Yeah.
stripper for 7 years inside of that. Before all of that, I did stage theater. I was
Oh,
the leader of my youth group. I was a part of a Freemasons youth group.
amazing.
Like, all of these things made me who I am. I am not one of any of those things.
Mm.
And
Mm.
now in my 40s, I can look back, take pieces of everything that I did. For
Power.
instance,
Yeah.
being a stripper, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, obviously, I had the certain background that was the recipe for putting me on the pole. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm going to be a stripper.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I found about it was I've talked about this a couple times in the last year, but I haven't really talked about this ever, like in public, because
Mm.
people, it's like, oh, it's taboo. And it's like, okay, I'm 45. Like, we can talk about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's, you go there, you make money, you take your clothes off. When I was there, like, I was like a bikini thing. Like, you don't
Okay.
actually take your clothes off when you're with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have this uncanny ability to see the best in people.
Yeah. Mm.
Obviously, over the last 10 years, it's not been the best thing for me because I didn't have boundaries, but I developed it as a stripper. So you have about 2 minutes with each person,
Yeah, yeah,
even like
yeah.
that initial thing. I would find a way to fall in love with something about that person. And so everything that I gave to them was 100% true. I
Mm,
love their shirt. I love their smile. I love the way they're like, well, I'm drunk, whatever it was,
yeah.
every time I interacted with that person,
Authentic.
completely authentic. Someone would
Powerful.
say, I like blondes. I was a redhead brunette back then. I was like,
Yeah,
I got one for you. Like,
yeah.
how about this? And then that person would get a dance with me and my friend, or not even me. And then I help my friend.
Yeah.
So I always had this like positive mindset.
Spin to it.
And so
Yeah, yeah.
how did that show up? Well, you know, authenticity, being
Mm-hmm.
able to see the best in every situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
being able to learn and grow, right? Iterate. If you're talking to like 60 different guys a night, and I
Yeah.
don't know what the actual number is, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah, sure,
throwing a
sure.
number
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there,
Arbitrary. Yeah.
150 guys a
Yeah,
night,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and you're genuinely authentic with them all.
Oh, you
Because
learn
people
so
are like,
much.
oh, this is
Yeah.
fake. It's like, well, we're all here for a transaction,
Yeah,
right? You go into a store for a transaction, and
exactly.
people are like so blasé. You go into some of these like, I get my face done, and it's like some of these people can't be bothered to even look at you. I'm like, I'm trying to give you money, like,
Yeah, yeah.
interact with me.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
like now I can just be so present, whether it's
Mm.
with somebody at the grocery store or at a networking event,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Literally everything is interesting to me,
yeah.
whether it's for a story or maybe it inspires me to connect to people. Like
Yes.
everything, the entire world, this mug here, I literally can't look at it and not know what I'm in love with about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Art,
exactly.
inspiration, everything affects, everything has an impact. I learned that from being a stripper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, come on,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what, are you serious?
Yeah,
You know,
the opportunities, like you said, in every instance of your kind of being and profiles that you've, landed on. I wouldn't say you create, because initially sometimes things you just fall into when you're younger too,
I
because
created
oh, you
the
created it? Okay,
the
yeah.
gaming stuff. I
Oh,
didn't
the gaming
create the
stuff.
gaming
Yes, yes,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
I'm very
And
proud of that one. I will
no,
take my little ego is like, hell yeah, I did that. I'm proud of
fantastic.
it.
It is incredible. I can't upplay it enough. So yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
Thanks. Your
But the
intro is
thing,
great. I'd like a copy of that because that
I
just makes
think
me like
for sure, no problem. That'll be the only cut within the reels that we're sharing. So it's like you're incredible, Satine, which you are. You're incredible, and
I'm
I
gonna
think you
like
know
play
that.
it. Someone's like, "Who are you?" And I'll just like play it.
Yeah, play it.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Game designer, live stream
I
play.
can joke about this now.
Yeah.
It's fun to know what I'm proud of. There's a lot of
Yes.
people have imposter syndrome. I never had imposter syndrome,
Ah,
but I never would accept a compliment. I never
oh,
could take responsibility for good things. And so I'm joking, I'm playing, I'm talking about my ego, but that is a new wonderful thing that I get to do.
fantastic. Yeah, that's another thing too. I talk to people. There's a fear of being celebrated.
Not
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah. Now
never
that's a good. Bring it
again.
on. I got this. The was it the Apple thing? Yeah, there you go. The two peace signs. You get confetti, so
Yay.
celebrated. But yeah, like I encourage people to, because when you open up for people to share whatever compliments they're giving to you, it's a form of giving back when you accept it. You know, and
I'm so glad you said that.
I feel people are they take that away from people when they compliment
Oh.
you, right? Which sucks. It's like someone compliments you. It's like, oh, you look great today. Nothing creepy. This is you just look great today. And like,
Well, my
ooh,
hair
yeah,
and
yes,
well, my thing. But like it takes
totally.
away from it, right? Like
I know.
somebody
Dodge it.
gifted that to you. And so I will literally just say, thank you so
Thanks.
much. And one of the cool things in the healing that I've done in the last couple of years is being
Yeah,
able to sit
in
and
it
not like retort, not like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's just
right
like,
away.
boom, I caught it. And now I'm just going to be with it
Enjoy it. Yeah,
and enjoy it. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
No, when you do it in front of the person that gave it, it's very powerful because it actually means something. And when you talk about that authentic affection that you create in all those interactions while you were, being a stripper, that's what I'm trying to do too with all the interactions that I have with people. It's
Yes.
like, can this person be my girlfriend or boyfriend? You never know.
Yeah.
But when you sit into to it with affection, the interaction gets deep. quickly, can get deep really quickly because you
I
actually
would like
care.
to talk about that 100%. And I
Okay.
would like to go backwards a little
For
bit
sure, for
because
sure. Let's
as
do
a
it this way.
stripper, the intent was intimacy, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so over like since then, and especially after I started gaming, I was trying to learn how to be platonically intimate.
Okay.
So how do I have a friendship,
Hmm.
right? Or even like an acquaintance style interaction with somebody and not have sexual energy in it. I really want to like
Mm.
put that because of what I did.
Yes.
That was not blended at all. I would go
Oh,
to conventions, be fully present with everyone who came up to me, and
yeah.
have zero sexuality,
So no love. Well, not
full
no love, but
affection.
no, no,
Well, that's
no.
the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pure love,
Oh, okay.
no sexuality, no
Okay.
sensuality, full platonic appreciation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the mode that you
Because
were in.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, because if you think about it, there's a grabby hands thing when you're in a like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
a
Yeah.
that
Sexual.
sexy
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and
Of
so when
course.
you're networking, people can smell that, and a good
Yeah.
healthy
It's
person is going to
sticky,
be
right?
like, I actually like
Yeah.
you don't know me that well, and I can't trust you, therefore I won't trust you with my network.
Ah, I get it. So they would close the door before it even opens. They sense
Yes.
that right away, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
it's
like, what is your intention? And if it's just pure, like, God, all these words are so cliche. If
yeah.
your intentions are pure, everything's going to be great. But you have to know what your intentions are, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
had
yeah.
an ex who didn't want anyone to know that we were together. And he said it was because if people knew we were or we were together and we were doing business together, then it would take away from the way he basically interacted with people, which was on a sexual level.
Mm, mm, mm.
And I wasn't healed enough to know that was a huge red flag. So I was
Ah, yeah, yeah,
like,
exactly. Exactly. Just give it opening up
hey,
for
that's
him.
not
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
that you told me how you interact and the manipulation that you have.
Yes.
So a
Yes.
lot of networking is like, okay, how am I going to get this for this? And so LA, and it's so gross. So with networking, it's really important to remember that everyone that you're interacting with is a human being with
Yeah.
a family and has
Yeah.
their own thing. And maybe they might be manipulative and maybe
Yes.
they might not, but you got to be you. Don't
Yes.
worry about what anyone else is doing. You just got to be solid you. You don't judge what other people's doing because you don't know why they have to be manipulative. You
Mm,
don't know what they went through to get to that part. You
hmm.
just say yes or no. I will
Yeah.
allow you to interact with me or I won't allow you to interact with me. And your
Yeah.
gut can feel it, right?
Totally. Totally.
But like if you are lying, if you're
Hmm.
lying to yourself, most people are just lying to themselves, therefore they lie to other people. If
Yeah.
you're lying to yourself, you're going to come across as like your energy's not going to be clean. It's not going to be full
Yeah.
focused. And
Exactly.
other people who are resonating like that full presence,
Yeah.
they will be drawn to you
Yes. Yeah.
because you are
Are
like
you?
sending out the call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The authentic, like pureness is very attractive. There's this magnetic energy to it, I think. And not many people like I'm in, BNI, Business Network International. I got to interview the founder, Dr. Ivan Meisner, too, which is super cool. And you can tell that there is that, when you're in these networking events, who's who's present, who's thinking of other stuff while talking to people too. Yeah, it's so obvious. It's like their eyesight's not even like looking on you. And when I talk to people, like of course, I think we're both very extroverted. We love connecting. We love
It's true. We are. I can
finding.
speak for you. Yes, we
Yeah, oh,
are.
thank you, thank you. Yeah. So it's like we're curious constantly of what's going on in people's
Yeah.
lives. Why did they choose the outfit that
Hmm.
they're wearing? Or, why do they say what they're saying to this certain person? So there are a bunch of
Hmm.
these conversations going on, and I'm always like observing. But it's like people are oblivious to anything that's outside their motive sometimes when they're new to networking, I find it's like, oh, I have
Well,
to, yeah. So they're
it's
scared. Right?
intimidating. And
Yeah,
here's
very.
the other part. We're talking about how to succeed and what not to do.
Yeah.
But you gotta fail.
Yes,
You
yes,
gotta
yes.
mess it
Yeah.
up. You
Yeah.
gotta go in once and
Totally.
say the wrong thing
Totally.
and feel the shame and
Yeah.
embarrassment, and then quickly
Right.
identify the issue
Mhm.
and do it again, learning from the first time. We
Yes.
make mistakes, we are not mistakes.
Iterate, iterate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Iterate.
enhance. Right. I think that's
Absolutely.
that's the key where, anything worth doing is worth doing shitty. I think that's a very cool quote I got from, was it Alex Hermosi? I can't remember. Someone
Oh,
online.
he's got a million
Yeah,
amazing
yeah, yeah, he's
quotes.
got a
Like, what's your
million. So
quote
which is,
today, you
yeah, exactly.
genius?
Today there's 10. So that I
Yeah.
just saw. But that's a thing where you have to be willing to, like you said, like fail hard and then regroup or keep exploring to, like you said, find that journey to find the right person eventually that will always give you tidbits along the way. Like I think everyone won't be the perfect person that you're searching for, but as you move forward, you'll find the person that can apply to whatever, solution you need for your problem. And it's it it's tedious. I know, but I think it's worth it. The journey is worth it because
Yeah.
if you I think setting that intention to become someone, like when you're talking about the quantum leap, when you're aiming for that eventual person to who you are currently and creating
Hmm.
that alignment, I think that's like super powerful. But to have that intention of who you want to be, I think you have to be around people or others to see the possibilities first.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
high
High
10,
five,
high
high 10.
five.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's so good
Yeah.
because like in those 20s, right?
Yeah.
You don't even know what's
No.
possible. If you try
Exactly.
to lock in, and
No.
that's kind of a thing too. Okay, so if you lock in too early
Mm,
and you close yourself off to what's possible, this is
mm,
why you got to go explore and you got to go see and you got to learn
yeah.
and really kind of find your way. You can pick a direction.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in my big healing journey at 40, I tapped into my future self.
Okay.
But I knew where I came from and I have seen so many things.
Hmm.
So I kind of had a good vision.
Yes.
But you almost can't have that vision,
Yeah.
clear
Before the
vision,
work. Yeah.
right? You can have, so when I was in high school, there's two things I want to say. So when I was in high school, I was obsessed with David Bowie.
Oh, cool.
I was like, this
Great guy.
guy is a genius,
Yes.
right?
That's
Every
the
10 years, he does something different. So
yeah.
I designed my life over an 80-year span. I
Nice.
knew exactly what I was going to do every 10 years. I have
Cool.
it mapped out and it's very cool. Was
Amazing.
it perfect? Not really. It was
Mm-hmm.
way cooler than I could imagine.
Oh,
So I
nice.
chose different things over time, some of them related, and
Yeah.
then some of them, like if when I'm 80, I want to own a bed and breakfast in Japan, right? Like
Nice.
that may happen, that may not, I don't know.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
some of these hit and some of them didn't, some of
Yeah.
them changed and
Hmm.
evolved.
Hmm.
So being able to kind of point yourself in a direction, I wanted to be famous.
Hmm.
Why did I want to be famous? Because I'm an artist. Well, what does that mean? That means that I love communicating. I love connecting with people.
Hmm.
And the way in order to connect with the most people is to become a person who has a lot of, who puts out stuff into the world where a lot of people will recognize it and connect with it.
Hmm.
So somebody could want fame because of their ego. I just want to be friends with everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Like,
Exactly.
and that's different. So
Totally.
it's like, because now I know the cost of fame. I
Mm.
know exactly what happens when you let your fan base down.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know what happens if I'm attached to what my fans project onto me.
Yes.
That's real. Now I can go out. So now I've like done the healing and I go out. And it's like, here I am as a person who has followers and fans and all that. But now I know how to show up in relation with them.
Mm.
I now
Mm.
have chosen a very specific way to be around them. And
Yeah.
before I forget this other thought, because it's been sitting here and
Yeah.
it goes back to what you were saying, one of the things that I'm so grateful that I was clever enough to bring to my students was during critiques.
Mm.
I would say, okay, it's time to critique. And they would do it. And I just watched them be defeated and sad. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do it a different way.
Yeah.
So I have them do two things. And I told them, I was like, do this in your real life too. And you'll find that the world opens up and is so much more interesting.
Mhm.
When you go to reflect or you're critiquing, right? You say a strength. This something really good about this is something that is strong about this, a technique, a whatever. You gotta know what you're good at. And
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like, I'm really good at, no, like I am good because I look at things in this way.
Mm-hmm.
self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of saying something that doesn't work or something that is bad or this like negative, like down energy, ooh, I can feel it in my heart. Like, ugh, that's a gross thing. I don't even want to put that in my universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say something, oh shit, now what do I say? Something that can be improved upon is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That takes the guilt, it takes the
Mm.
shame, it takes the judgment right out of the window. And as an artist, it's repetition that makes you better. And it's
100%.
not just repetition, it's repetition and reflection. And
Yes.
as a human being,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's the martial art of being a human being,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's something that can be improved upon is.
Mm.
Look at yourself, you look at an interaction, if you're out networking, you got to assess yourself.
Yes.
You can do two things. You can feel like you were awesome. I
Mm-hmm.
was so awesome. I nailed it. I got 20 business cards.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet, something that can be improved upon is.
Yeah. What is it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's opportunity, opportunistic in how you see everything too. And yeah, I think that's
And
how,
humility.
yeah, exactly. I think that's it almost, I think with reflection, to a certain degree, there's some installment of humility because you have to like, you know, depart from the ego a little bit to look, to see it objectively, right? So, but to be humble about it too, yeah. Then you can see it really clearly, objectively. Otherwise, it's like you're clouded by how awesome you are, obviously. So, which we are, but yeah,
You can
but
do
it's
both. And I want to
yeah, exactly.
encourage both. Like, really
Yes,
be proud of you.
100%. Yeah.
Don't let it seep outside of you. Don't
Yes,
let it
yes,
become you.
exactly, exactly.
And that's like with fans, right?
Hmm.
People are going to leave you negative comments. There's trolls, right? Now they got troll bots that make it even
I know,
worse.
crazy.
But people will praise you. Both
Mm,
of them are equal.
yes,
You receive them
yeah,
and you step back from them. You thank them for, you know, upping your algorithm,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you
Yeah,
but
no
you
matter what,
don't
it's
take
positive.
them into your heart.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
say thank you for your attention.
yeah,
Thank you for being here.
yeah,
And then it, because if you take only the praise or only the criticism, like then that becomes real inside of you. When really what's real inside of you as a creator
yeah.
is you.
Yeah, curiosity, like this, a love, affection for everything, I think. Like you learn to find awesomeness in stuff. Anything. Like I was just explaining to, my friends too. It's like how I see things, like anything I look at, the grass, the sky, the car, the dirt, everything has a value in it that we can make awesome, awesome. So,
Well, you and I are kids. We're just like little
oh
kids.
yeah.
When I'm around you, oh,
Yeah.
I just feel like I get even younger. I'm just like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
play,
yeah,
let's,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like,
Let's
oh, I
be
got a good
fun.
idea, I got it. And then we
Yeah.
get younger and younger, and we're just like really
And your
silly,
babies are
little
just
babies.
children. Yeah. They're just like crying on the side. I need my diaper change. No, just kidding. But no,
Wrong
that's
game.
yeah, 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 exactly. It's hilarious. So yeah, so it's this got way more awesome and deeper than I thought this conversation was gonna be. So really thank you for that. Because actually all the questions that now that I'm scrolling back through them, I'm like, oh, they're actually all answered. So I don't have to ask those questions. I think we've delved through all the questions that I wanted to um like ask in a proper way, but I don't think it's needed anymore. I'll probably cut this part out too, but it's really cool that natural conversations can actually allow you to reach a certain goal too. And that's something that I'm learning actually from the podcast. And I believe that, I have this skill, and you do too, of extracting stuff from people. And now I'm learning that it doesn't have to be structured to get that, because naturally the curiosity will extract. People love talking and sharing. It's just if you allow them
It's
to have
just
that.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just
It's just
kidding.
like, yeah, it's just me. It's just me. It's not you. No, I swear it's you too. So, but now also another cool thing, it's like it's not a me problem anymore. It's always a you problem. So, no, that's what I tell people. Like, if you're authentically you and people have a problem with that, it's not your problem. it's someone else's
That's
problem.
real.
Yeah, yeah, that's
That
real.
is real. And you don't judge it. That's the
Exactly.
other half.
Yeah, yeah,
All these memes, like life, you cannot grow in life through memes.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
I say that. I
yeah,
repost
yeah,
like 30 memes a
nonstop.
day. I'm like, but if you put them all together, it's a book, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
exactly. So it's okay
yeah.
if it's a
Yeah,
book,
yeah, yeah. But
just
you
not.
have to watch all of my memes. You have to
Yeah,
watch all my memes. They all make sense as a group.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Wait, so I'm trying to think back, like the rebuild part or
Mhm.
the rebranding part, like rising up, because I think we
Okay.
talked a little bit more, and I know we have probably like a good 10 to 15 minutes left, but can we explore like how do you rebrand and this new you, how do you kind of start packaging it to who you want it to be and how you want people to see you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good question.
yeah.
So, as I'm healing, as I'm doing all these things that I never thought I would be doing, like being a professor, or realizing that I know so much about peptides and
Oh, cool.
longevity that
Nice.
like people are coming to me just and I can't stop talking about it. Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
my hobby
Awesome.
because I wanted to be the characters that I was playing in D&D. I was like,
Mm.
I can literally
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yoke myself
Oh, look
out
at
and be
that.
strong. I know, I feel so jacked
Fine.
right
Good
now.
lighting too. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Both, the both, both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome. Yeah,
seriously, I was like, if I tear myself apart and I have nothing, then what do I have? Right?
yeah.
And that sounds silly, but it's real. So, my passion, like you gotta follow your passion. I spend all of my time talking about longevity and
Mm,
biohacking and healing and um, it's like obviously I would go down that route. And
mm-hmm.
I gained so much information from going back to school, from researching, I mean, like really nerding out on some of this stuff and
Yeah.
realized that, like, all of the stuff that I had done before, I have those skills now. Nerding out and focusing, being
Mm-hmm.
able to, having stage presence, being able to speak in front of thousands of people. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
have that skill.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of doing something that was completely different, I'm like, what can I do to utilize everything that I've been doing and move it into this other way, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I was the community manager of Dungeons and Dragons, so I know how those things work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I can just take that and take how I grew my personality in the world and do the same thing in the health and wellness world,
Mm.
and know that I have to be more present. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? Well, I want to learn more about longevity. So I started Feel Younger, Think Wiser. That's my podcast. It's for people approaching 40 or who are over 40 who want to learn how to live forever. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, just like I did with Dungeons and Dragons, I did GM tips where I basically is a YouTube series where I gave people advice on how to be a good game master. But it wasn't just me giving advice. It
Yeah,
was a conversation with a variety of people who are experts in the game design and the gaming world. So I
cool.
was like, duh, of course I'm going to do that for this. So,
Yeah.
the first person I interviewed was Wade Lightheart, and he does Bioptimizers. And it's like, for me,
Whoa.
it's one of the best supplement companies in the world. And I am so obsessed.
Yeah,
The people that I have on the podcast, the
yeah.
people I'm networking with are the people that I look up to, who are
Mm.
the experts in their field. And
Exactly.
so I know that by doing podcasts. Now, I was like, now this is just you and me. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just wanted to talk to you, and I was super
Aw.
excited and
Thank you.
honored that you asked me to be on here.
Thank you.
But
Thank
for
you.
my podcast, it's like, I want to know what they know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so my whole career now is to interview people who are experts in their field
Yes.
of longevity and anti-aging, and I have been following all of their blueprints for the
Yeah.
last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I am now hormonally balanced. I'm 45, but my metabolic age is 29.
Ooh, I guessed it. I said 27, so
You
you're
did.
a little older than I thought. No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah.
That's
No.
hilarious. I got to keep working.
Yeah,
But
good
my
work.
point
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
I followed what I was interested in. I
Yes,
wasn't
yes.
making something up. I wasn't trying to rebuild something that I had before. I said, no,
Mm-hmm.
I literally have to go in a new direction. So I have
Mm-hmm.
a podcast and
Mm-hmm.
I gather experts. That is what I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
And so many people were coming to me about my journey. And I was like, and then I was going back to school for psychology. And I was like, well, I am really good at coaching and
Mm-hmm.
I see things in a holistic, holistic way, a humanistic way. So
Yeah.
when people come to me, I'm like, are you sleeping? Let's fix your sleep. What's your water? Are you eating? Like what do we need to do to literally change your habits to make
Yeah.
them healthy habits and then rebuild, and then I go back and do internal family systems if we need to. So like all of the information I'm doing on the podcast ripples into the coaching that I do, and
Yes.
also I'm a professor. So that's like the rebranding is,
Nice.
but even my professorship, I'm a human anatomy professor. I
Oh, cool.
know how the body works.
Yeah.
I've tried it out on myself. I
Yes.
literally reshaped my body by
Yeah.
envisioning who I
Mm.
want to be,
Mm.
healing my past, or getting my hormones, doing the peptides, working
Mm.
out, learning what food and fitness and what all of this stuff means and how to put it together,
Mm.
doing red light therapy. Like I literally interview people and then I do what they tell me to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
share that with others. So that was the rebranding.
No.
And now
Ah.
it's like I did the grunt work. I practiced. I put out 5 episodes. I've done like tons more, recordings. And
Yes.
now that I'm back in Denver, it's only been 2 weeks. Over the
Yeah.
next month, I'm harnessing even more. And I have clients without even advertising,
Mm.
just by talking about it. But
Amazing.
now that
Yeah.
I'm back and I'm going to
Yeah.
hunker down, now I've got my social, calendar. Now I've got what I'm going to put out, when I put it out, how to get leads, and now I do the business part of it.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
even without having that business mindset into it, I grew it from my heart, grew
Mm.
it from my own interest, utilize the skills that I have developed since I was, in my early 20s or even in the stage theater in high
Mm-hmm.
school.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of those skills made what I do now perfect. And I
Yes.
can be super authentic, super present with my clients, super present with my guests, and super present with people who listen to what I'm saying so that I can authentically give them real information and feel good about it.
Amazing. Yeah. I think, all comes down to, for me, like the confidence. Like after you didn't say a word about confidence, but that's exactly what you exude. It's just like this, because it's from competence, I believe,
Yeah.
from all the skill sets that you've amassed, prior to current, present, that all got, clumped up into this, you're super competent in, these fields, and you're confident about it. Like you don't even have to think, it's the back of your hand when people ask you any questions about things related to what you've done, right? And same thing for me too. I feel if someone asks me about photography, about marketing, about like design and stuff. Yeah, and that part I think we share a lot. We like things that are
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
and beautiful, and
Yeah.
we're able to share with people, what they're searching for really quickly. That also attracts, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
attention. And I think that rebranding part, or if someone is looking to brand themselves to start with, is to lean into what are they competent in? Like you said, they're what are they good at? What are you good at? If you're not good at anything, develop something so that you can get good at, like your 20s or 30s. Get good at something. And then in the 40s, it's like use that what you're good at to be the lead of who you are. And yeah, and you can also, once you're confident, there's that safety there too.
Yeah.
You can truly sit with yourself and be fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the thing. Have you heard of circling?
Maybe in Chinese, but no, no,
I don't know
no,
what
maybe.
that is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I cannot confirm or deny
yeah,
whatever that is.
exactly. So say your thing first, and then I'll confirm or deny. Yeah.
So this is my gift to you and everybody out there.
Thank you.
It relates to confidence. It relates to practice. It relates to authenticity and
Mhm.
presence. And it's called circling. I think it's called the Circling Institute, but essentially it's authentic relating, and you can learn it. They have events in major cities.
Cool.
Um, the guys I'm staying with, one of them's a facilitator, and I'm going to be doing the courses, but I've gone to their stuff, and it was really interesting because when it was presented to me, I've always been authentic,
Mm.
but I didn't know that there was a skill that you could build. And so for me, I've literally been looking all over the world for 20 years for other people who are authentic, which is why when I met you, you and I just got along so easy because we
Yeah,
were
yeah,
just so open,
that's
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'll be talking to other people and then they're withdrawn or like and then you hear about it. You're like, well, what is authentic? And it's like, well, you don't know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's like, why would you not be
Yeah, yeah,
authentic?
yeah, exactly.
I don't
I didn't even.
understand,
Yeah, me
but
neither.
that's not for me to understand. It's
Sure.
actually like another person's experience.
Yes. Yes.
So you can literally learn what you are talking about by Googling the
Circle.
Circling Institute.
Oh, okay, okay. That's
So it's
awesome.
about authentic relating,
Yeah.
how to be present, how to hear, and how to go back and forth with a person. It's
Ah,
interpersonal authentic relating.
like good ping pong, not bad ping pong.
Good, not
Yeah,
bad ping
yeah,
pong.
yeah, not bad ping
Nobody
pong.
likes bad ping pong.
Yeah, 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 but good ping pong. Yeah, when the accent comes out, the Asian accent.
That's my
No good
Filipino
ping pong.
mom accent. No good
Yeah,
ping
yeah,
pong.
yeah. You are. You're part, right?
Yeah,
Filipino. So we're good.
I'm
We're
half.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
No, no, awesome. I know I don't want this to end. But and I would love to, of course, have you on the show again in the future because I do believe we have way more to explore together. And like you said, the reason that you do your podcast is to explore the intelligence of experts. And that's the reason that I came to you too, because I believe that you're an expert in what you do. And it's almost not in a specific item, but that amalgamation of the consolidation of the experiences that you've had. I'm like,
Yeah.
this person, no one's like you. You know, you are one
Nobody's
of
like
one.
me.
Yeah, yeah. And it's an incredible thing. And this is like
Thank you.
believing the that you're one of one. There's no
Mm.
one else like you that I don't know in the universe. Maybe there's someone in the universe, but same thing where everyone, if they can explore to find that self of that uniqueness and really dive deep into it, I think it's incredible. And I believe we will have multiple conversations if you're up for it. I'm sure it's
Heck
yeah, heck
yes.
yeah,
Are you
okay,
kidding me? I like it.
as long as you had fun. That's my goal is, having fun while exploring and then finding some either meaning or intelligence that you can use, for your true your living and help other people once you found yourself. And I think that's what's so awesome about today's conversation is I learned not only about your past, but also about, your future. Like, what are you looking forward to? And that's something that I shared with my mom. It's like, if you want to live happy, there's always something to look forward to, or set something, create something to look forward to, right? And
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I look forward to the unknown
yes.
of what I have not designed yet.
Ah, nice, nice. True creator. I think
Yeah, yeah,
that's
totally.
awesome. It's like for those
Nerd.
people that don't like, I'm not a creative. How can I do this? Everyone's creative, when you dive into it, if you're willing to be shitty at it to start, right? So yeah, you have to be willing to fail before you can explore and actually start creating. But yes, if you don't mind sharing, where can people find you now? Because you're still a global citizen, but how can they interact with you on socials or find you on the digital world too?
Very easy to find. Satine Phoenix on Instagram. You can go to my website,
Nice.
satinephoenix.com, or
Wonderful.
check out my podcast at Feel Younger, Think Wiser.
Oh, it's incredible. Satine, thank you so much. Big kisses, big hugs. It was wonderful to see you again in this format where I've never actually had a sit down and talk that deeply with you. And it's always blown my mind how awesome you are, but now it's like another level. So
I'm so excited. I was
yeah.
thinking this exact same
Oh,
thing.
really?
Like we were interacted so much, but I knew that you were super cool. And I was
Oh,
like, how lucky are we to be doing these things that we can actually sit down for a reason and like have a focused conversation. So I'm so
no.
grateful that you're like Satine and I was like, Romy.
Done. Not really done. No. Check mark. But again, thank you so much again. And please reach out anyone that, wants to find themselves or go to the next level. We're all here for you. And again, thank you. Thank you. See you, Satine.